morning again. This is Charlie Bellefontaine, and you're listening to the Homebuyer. Why you should be my favorite.
Oh, jeez.
All right. It's like a debate.
It is like a debate.
It always is.
I love it.
So, Steve Davis, I'm with Real Brokerage, the Qamar Group. I've been doing real estate for 18 years. Let's see, what else can I tell you? My email address is steve@qamargroup.com. You can find me on Instagram. I'm Steve Davis.
And why are you my favorite?
I am your favorite because of many reasons.
You got none. You
Oh,
got nothing.
that was so
I guess I got
vague.
none.
Let
Let's
me
see what
help
Amber
you out
says.
a little bit. I'll give you a one, all right? Because you and I have the same mindset in how we treat clients. That's a big deal to me. Amber.
Beat that, Amber.
Game on. I'm Amber Kardosh with At Properties Christie's International. I've been in. Thumbs down, Steve. I gave you your moment. Turn his mic off.
This isn't the presidential vice or the debates here. There's no
I've
mics
been
off. Freedom of speech.
I have been in residential real estate for 10 years. What can you say? I also do, I work, first-time home buyers, downsizers, relocation, investors. I work with every type of client. And why am I your favorite, Charlie?
Please.
Well, I'm your favorite because I dress better.
Steve does
Then
dress
Charlie?
pretty
That's
nice,
not very
yeah, and
nice of you to
everybody
say that.
dresses better than me.
Jeez.
I'm just
That's
kidding.
not fair.
I'm just kidding. No, I don't know. I think because,
She doesn't have any answers either.
yeah.
All right, we'll leave it at no answer or whatever. Patrick's giving me the look like, oh my God.
He gave me one,
are
by
we
the way.
in
He didn't
trouble?
say why you were
So Patrick,
Oh,
please give us
you
your
were.
information.
Good morning. My name is Patrick Loftus. I'm a very serious real estate lawyer.
Everybody's laughing right now.
I have to be serious today because our two guests are the silliest of all gooses.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I want to be insulting, but in the firehouse when we had two like this together, we would call them Tweedledum and Tweedledummer. But I actually like these two, so I can't do that to them, and they give the high five.
You said that, not me. If you want more serious discussion about real estate law, find me on social media. Loftus_law on Instagram, and on TikTok you can find me at Loftus Law.
I appreciate all that, and then also search for Patrick with the cheap flights as well. He puts a lot of great information about that.
I would prefer that we keep this to serious real estate talk today. Thank you.
Joey, if you don't mind, can you just talk over
Ooh,
Patrick
Joey's
a little
on.
bit in his seriousness?
Why, hello, friends. Joey Mathews, NMLS 1330694. You can find me at thevaloannerd.com. Across all the social medias as at the VA Loan Nerd. If you feel like it, you can call or text me at 630-235-2405. There you go. That's me.
Charlie tried to put the music on and he absolutely blew it.
I always blow
06.
everything else. I'm not good on the sound effect stuff. That's it. They should never give me access to the board.
I'm seriously disappointed in you, Charlie.
You should be. So, Joey, everybody tells me that the refinances are good, but the real estate market slowed down this last week.
I mean, I would say that's going to be based on be very area specific. I know Florida for sure has slowed down significantly. Got some fires out there, but nothing's moving. You guys are going to know more about Chicagoland than me. But I mean, yeah, there's plenty of refinances going on. I don't know if sellers are jumping off the fence quite yet to, jump into their next house if they have their golden handcuffs and the twos. Again, that's for people that are smarter at real estate than I am. I'm just this idiot mortgage guy who's, knocking out some mortgages.
But you're my favorite idiot. I just want you to know that.
And it is also like we're going into the slow season, right? I mean, things slow down until the Super Bowl's over, usually,
Joey,
right?
Joey, in all
I
seriousness,
disagree with that.
I don't think you're an
I
idiot.
like that.
I think you're a very smart man.
Me too, Joey.
Well,
Me too.
I do too.
Thanks, everyone, but Steve.
However,
Everybody was Steve.
I would say that yes, things have slowed down a little bit, but at the same time, if you're a good agent and you reach out and you network and you bring value to other people, you can find opportunities, just like Amber and I do that all the time. So, being busy is one thing. If you're an average agent, sure, you might be slow. If you're not an average agent and you work really hard and do the work, I would say that you're still consistent. Now, you might be busier than I am.
Define busy, Steve. What
Well-
does busy mean to you?
I said consistent for me.
Oh, I'm just trying to understand what busy means to you.
Well, just means we have a lot of clients, we're doing a lot of different things, putting out a lot of fires, things
You
like
know,
that.
That's actually a really good question. What is an average production per year? How many transactions does a I shouldn't say quality, a busy real estate agent do in a year? You know, if I remember right, I thought to get into the top 5%, and I think this is a shocking number, all you need is about 6 transactions a year.
Ooh.
Is that right?
I think it's right.
That can't be
doesn't
right.
seem
I think it's right. Yeah, they don't
I
really
think
go
you're
by
wrong.
the transactions, they go by the dollar amount, but I'm
Well,
talking
I
about
can
the
see
top
that.
5%.
I can
Dollar
see,
amount is very different. Sorry
I
to
can see
interrupt.
Very
Go ahead.
different.
Yeah.
yeah, I
Please.
can see that. No, I mean, I think, I don't know, the number of transactions, I always thought it was
gotta
like
be like
40 or
15, isn't
50.
it?
Oh,
No, not for
For
a
a top 5%?
I mean, that's what
top
I do.
5%.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Just kidding. No, I'm not kidding, but I don't know what that answer
You
is.
do 40 to 50 transactions.
A year?
Holy shit.
That's a
really
lot of
good.
Ah!
Yeah,
Beep.
somebody's gonna put a dinger on there.
Yep,
Steve
I
said a
forgot.
bad word.
Well, no, but I was.
That's my fault.
I was actually really asking what busy means because I think all too often you ask real estate agents, "Oh, how's work? Oh, I'm busy." Everyone wants to say that because everyone's like wants to perceive themselves as busy, right? Which
Yeah.
most of probably are fine. But what does busy mean? Does it mean you're actually in active transactions? Does it mean you're, nurturing your client base? You're, meeting them. You're trying to understand what they're doing. Maybe planning for 2025. Is it, what does busy mean? So it was just an actual question as what that means to you. I mean, to me, when I say I'm busy, I'm always busy because I'm always doing all of those things. But like, as far as like nurturing clients, building relationships, when I have that time where I'm not busy with transactions, I am going out trying to see my clients. A lot of my clients are having babies and their kids are getting older, and I always get so upset when time is gone because the little minds are so, if you're not in front of them in enough time, they don't remember who you are. And there was one time that I'm like, "Do you remember me?" And he's like, I'm like, "Shoot, I've not come to see you." And so that was like a trigger to me that I need to be in front of my clients at all
Busier.
times.
So
You gotta get it in, Steve.
So I think the busy aspect, I think that makes a lot of sense too. I think a lot of people want to say they're busy and they're not. I think busy is also an excuse of saying, "Oh, I'm just so I can't do anything. I don't have any time for anyone. This, that, whatever." I think what would make sense is the fact that when you say busy or consistent or whatever, you're just saying that you're working a lot, you're helping a lot of clients, you're working a lot of transactions, you're doing busy work, if you
You're
will.
out there.
Charlie's
Right.
busy right now.
I am a little bit
What's he
busy
doing?
right now
What's he
because I was
messing with
trying
his
to
phone?
look up, what the transactions were. I had it in. This comes from NAR. September of 2024, they were showing roughly about 2,200 transactions in the Chicagoland area. When they compared it to 2023, there were about triple. There were over 6,000 transactions
Sure, and
from
20
last year to this year.
Sure, in
You know?
2021, 2022, 2023, I mean, we got really, really busy, and then we slowed down a bit.
And I guess that's the key, is keeping the schedule filled. And like I hear home inspectors right now, they say, "Oh, it's slow, I haven't done an inspection in a couple weeks," and blah, blah, blah. We're still keeping our calendar full, and we actually recruited 4 more inspectors, which I'm thrilled about. So, and the whole idea is to keep everything full. And I think what you two were talking about was more of market share. All right, and we know that there's so many transactions, there's so many sellers, so many buyers that are out there, and they're good. I shouldn't say good, but the real estate brokers that have proven themselves, they're the ones I think that are going to be busy because they've already built up their reputation,
Sure.
and that's where I go from here. And today, though, I want to talk something just because of your experience, and I know good things happen, I know bad things happen. So today I kind of want to focus, and I'd like everyone to think about some stories about deals that have gone bad. Steve, you just had one, all right? And what I mean by bad is the deal got canceled. So somebody, and this is my thought process, you guys could trash me on this one. Certain things have happened before I, as a home inspector, get into the property. Somebody decided they wanted to sell their house. Big deal, right? Another person decided they wanted to buy a house, right? The two people got together, they agreed on a price, they agreed to buy and sell this house that comes in there. Now we come in out the house, and then the deal goes south, you know. And can you share what happened with this house out in Naperville?
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, I'm actually happy that it fell apart. The reason being is I didn't feel like it was a good house for my client. I felt like there were too many issues, too many things that came about, so on. You know, they saw that property on their own, an open house. They wanted to put an offer in. You know, I was very, behind that, but I also said, listen, we'll have an inspection. We'll make sure that we, dot all the I's and cross the T's and make sure it's a good property for you type of thing. And when we went for the inspection, obviously that was your company that handled it. They were very thorough, and that's why, going back to the busy aspect, I think people that are busy or consistent with business is because they're very good at what they do and people see the value in what they do. So that's why Amber, myself, Patrick, yourself, obviously stay very busy, just to reiterate that. But also the fact is that you're very thorough in regards to inspection. And so we found a lot of things that my clients were kind of debating. And when we had a conversation, we always want to keep it together if it's a good fit. If they're being unrealistic just because they're scared, they're first-time home buyers, they're, whatever the reason being, that's a very big difference in my eyes. I assume you would kind of agree, Amber, is that knowing the fact that it's not a great fit for them, we don't want them in a house that they don't like. We don't want them to buy something that is not a good fit for them where they're going to be excited about it and they stay excited through the transaction and then obviously when they own the home. I know way too many realtors out there that kind of just do it because they get a paycheck and they help a client and it's a one and done deal type thing. I'm not about that. I'm all about relationships. So for me, it's really crucial that that happens. Now, as far as the deal going bad, it went south because it wasn't a good fit. So I think it's a little bit different on this end versus one that goes, that falls apart just because of, something else.
Amber, help them out a little bit. How do you feel? How do you keep people coming back to you? All right, 40 transactions, no small feat. All right, in a year.
Impressive.
I think,
impressive.
regarding inspections, kind of playing off of what Steve said, a good fit can mean different things. I've had clients, first-time home buyers, in particular, they don't want to walk into a bunch of projects, especially if it includes mold or water or something disconnected or anything like that. So understanding their expectations, and with the inventory or lack thereof in recent months, or even now going into not months but maybe years, like it's one of those things. Okay, I love the house, I love everything about it, but these 5 things, which are big projects that they have to overcome, it's understanding, do you have the resources to fix it? And having that conversation, and we talked about this earlier, setting the expectations on inspections, right? So having that client conversation, say, look, inspections happen, you're gonna find stuff. If we do it as is, because it helps the seller feel like you're not gonna just ask for things to ask for things. However, keep that in mind, if we do as is, you have to keep that in mind, because people are like, yeah, and then, the inspection comes and we have all of these things, and they're freaking out, they're like, oh my God. I go, yeah, but if you look at it, half of these things are just caulk, or there's a minor crack, or the paint chipping, or that kind of stuff. Whereas there's certain things, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's things that are not big deals that are deemed safety issues per code, but some of these things are things that have been like this over the years, and codes change, and older homes have those, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just a knowledge thing. Like, hey, this is not code, it's deemed a safety issue. However, 90% of homes have this, and just, again, educating them to the degree you can, because I'm not the inspector, but then they walk in having a better sense of what that means. And so then, case by case, depending on what comes up, deems it if it's a right fit or not.
No, I get all that, and I don't really want to focus so much on the inspection portion, but just out of curiosity, is that where the most deals go bad? Is during the home inspection, or is it, with the legal reviews and stuff like that? Where do most deals go bad?
I would say attorney review for sure. Do you agree with that?
I think inspection is a big one, but I also think condo docs you know, we could be almost through attorney review, and a lot of times we don't get condo docs till after the fact, but like, you know, specials or things that weren't, you know, correct me, Patrick, if you think differently, but like, I feel like we get to the point where we're going, okay, we're almost out of attorney review, and wait, what's this special that was talked about in month 2 of last year that's going to be levied, da-da-da. So I feel like uncovering financial things that weren't privy to us from the listing agent is also something that tends to make deals go south.
Yeah, the inspection is the number one thing that will cause a deal to not proceed. If you, as a buyer, look at the results of the inspection and you see things that just won't be in your budget in the short term, and they're things that need to be fixed in the short term, probably isn't a house for you. And I would agree that condo stuff is more and more becoming really problematic. There's a lot of deferred maintenance, and Joey, you might be able to chime in on this. I know I sent you last week something that I needed some clarification on, and you were, as always, you were able to give me clarification, you know, in moments, which I always appreciate. But Fannie and Freddie are really tightening the screws on condo warrantability, and just about every condo transaction I'm dealing with, you know, the exception in a condo transaction would be where everything's fine with the financials and the rules and all that, as opposed to what seems to be more the common thing, where something gets flagged and we have to deal with it.
What about you, Joey? Where's your
Correct.
big deal killer things that happen? I mean,
Big
just
deal
by the
killer
way,
things that happen?
I want to hire you to refinance my mortgage, even though I don't have a mortgage. But anyway, I just saw this on Facebook and I thought it was hilarious. Whenever you're buying a house, right before closing, 2 days before closing, I think every single home buyer should go to the new car dealership and just take a picture of themselves
Charlie.
in front of a brand new
Charlie.
car and send it to
Charlie.
their mortgage guy.
Charlie,
I'm sorry.
you shut your mouth.
That's
You
hilarious.
shut your mouth. Quitting jobs the day, the morning of closing, that's a good way to get your deal killed. I've had it happen one time. Because we do a verbal verification, re-verification of employment the morning of closing when we send over the wire. And if you aren't still working, then you no longer have income. And that's a big problem when you're trying to get a mortgage.
Nah,
But, I mean-
that's overrated. Come on. How do you overcome that? Somebody not having a job and wanting a mortgage.
If you do it 2 weeks prior to close, I can help you find a job. I've done that. Yeah, it's pretty wild. I think but general laziness will be what kills deals on the mortgage end.
Laziness by the mortgage broker.
Yeah, for sure, 1000%.
And
it-
explain that in more detail.
It's so hard because like I feel like
I can explain
there
it.
should be a minimum standard. Thank you.
Steve, go ahead.
Do it.
Sure, I can explain it. Basically, the fact is they're just like realtors, just like attorneys, just like any other profession that is supposed to be customer service oriented and good at what they do, following up, making sure they're, sending emails out, responding quickly, in a acceptable time. My time's a little bit different than most, but the fact is the lazy aspect, I believe, Joey, correct me if I'm wrong, Amber, please jump in, but is the fact of either you are doing your job where you're keeping everyone in play, letting them know what's going on, making sure they understand where they're at in their transaction, where the milestones we're trying to reach or overcome to get to the next milestone, to the closing table, if you will, is that people slow down, they don't do their job, and then someone else has to do their job for them to make sure that the transaction keeps moving forward. I've had to do that multiple times. I don't work with those lenders anymore, or those prospective vendors, because of these issues. So I guess that's what I would say by lazy, correct?
I think it's more to it. I'm jumping in on you, Joey. When I was in the fire department, our old fire chief, Jay Reardon, he put together a whole bunch of things that we had to memorize about business and things like that. And one of the things he put on there is consistently exceeding customers' expectations. And I don't know why I was insulted by that as a fireman. I'm like, when somebody needs me, they're having a heart attack, their house is on fire, they're going through some serious trauma. Why do I have to exceed their their expectations. All I have to do is fix their problems. And, you know, I kind of bucked the system a lot. And then after I left and I started realizing what happens in the service business, as we're all talking here, I realized the intense importance of that. Setting those expectations, letting people know what's going to happen, and doing it, and not only just doing it, but exceeding those expectations. And I tried to explain this to new home inspectors starting out, and I came by, if you know, just to use numbers, just because we're on the radio and you really can't see me. But if somebody has a scale of 0 to 100, 100 being the best, and 0 being the absolute worst, well, nobody's perfect, nobody's 100. But if you're expecting 100 and you're delivering 95%, people are not going to be happy with your service, all right? They're going to be upset. They're going to feel like they got cheated, and that's where a lot of bad reviews coming in there. So, but if we could bring those expectations down to a manageable level and then do more than what people said, then they're happy with you. In our business, we kind of make a big promise of making a long list. But the drawback with that is it just freaks out people. And that's the part that really upsets me the most. I don't want to kill those deals. I really don't. All right? I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat. We're not going to do anything else. And I really do believe in the freedom of choice. All right? It's always going to be the client's choice. And that's what I'm hearing in Naperville right away. They took a closer look at the walls. They weren't as client. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to move in there. They're going to see these things, and it's just going to needle them and needle them and needle them. And then they're going to be like, why did I ever buy this place? I'm bloviating. Patrick's giving me the bloviating look. You know, they go, why did I even buy this place? And guess who they're going to be mad at? All of us. Steve. You know, I like that. Let's make Steve the fall guy for everything.
I mean,
Patrick, how do we do that?
Well, as a realtor, as Amber a realtor, we're all realtors. We're all doing what our profession is. The fact is, no matter what, it always falls on us.
Steve, I think it's realtor.
Oh my God, here we go again.
You think what? And you're talking too soft.
It's realtor, not
I was
realtor.
trying to correct him.
She
Oh.
likes to mess
softly.
with me. Correct. Guess what? I don't know if you can. Whatever. It's realtor. Whatever.
I heard it pronounced relitter too. So either way, I'm sure it's okay. And man, I need help, Patrick. Here, these two are.
Why are
you're
you
just,
not
I don't. He's
entertained?
just giving me the.
We're trying to
daisy
have fun. This is supposed to be a fun thing.
I don't care how they say that word.
Do you care about them?
I don't. What?
Do you care about these two?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, I care about people.
You are
You notice he
people
didn't
first.
look at us when he said that. He was like, "Yep, sure."
Realtor, realtor,
Relitter.
whatever.
There's a difference somehow.
Is there?
No.
I don't know. It was from a Modern Family.
It's
It
Modern
was-
Family. Realtor.
Oh my God! I actually remember
Oh,
that
do you
issue.
it's the best. What are you,
It
some
is
kind
one.
of realtor?
I am.
Realtor. She's a
You come out
realtor
with the
lady.
best.
No, she goes, "What are you, some real estate agent?" And then
Oh.
Sophia Loren goes, "It's a realtor.
course.
There's a difference somehow."
Literally
Somehow.
dozens of
And
people
I was
across
like,
the country
true.
got that joke.
I got it.
I got
which is
it.
all good.
I laughed really hard when I saw
Me
that.
too.
I want to learn a little bit more about condo docs and why are they so difficult to get.
They're really hard to get.
I know he
you're
won't.
okay.
He won't even respond. He's just drinking his coffee. He won't even talk.
I'll
to
tell
me
you why.
anymore.
The reason that condo docs are so difficult to get sometimes is because the management company, when you call them and you say, "Hey, I need the condo docs," and so on, even though, you know, whether it's us as realtors, realtors,
See, it's in your head now.
or the attorney is supposed to get them, I think it's a joint effort. I think who cares who gets them? It's just the fact that we got them. And sometimes management companies, they are more difficult to get a hold of, or they don't want to send it. Or speaking of lazy, they just decide, oh, well, I'll just wait because I don't care, or I got other things to do, or whatever. Meantime, the realtors and the attorney are waiting for it. So it's, you know, it can be frustrating. You know, as far as that goes.
Is it attorney or lawyer? Which one do you prefer?
I would say, which one would you prefer, sir?
I like lawyer. Attorney sounds a little bit like, you know, nose stuck up.
We don't want stuck up.
All right, my favorite attorney, Patrick Loftus. Then,
Yeah,
you know,
I walked into that one.
not good jokes.
I feel like, can I weigh in
Yeah.
on this? I feel like condo docs are harder to get when you're dealing with a self-managed, smaller building that don't necessarily have any kind of management style or minutes or meetings. And, you know, we needed 22.1 completed and trying to hunt that down. So I always, you know, try to talk to my clients knowing that they're in a self-managed smaller building, asking them, have you guys met recently? Do you guys, tell me about how your HOA works given that you're self-managed? And a lot of times they're like, we've met once in the last year or two, and it's like, that's not good. Hey, do you have a budget? And they have a half-baked budget, and it's like trying to get them, well, if you're looking to sell next year, let's talk about how we can get this a little bit more concrete and structured, because the lender's going to ask for the 22.1, it's going to ask for meetings. So, talk to your fellow HOA if, you're not on the board, because usually there's somebody on the board handling the money and all the things. I haven't said that in a while.
What is a 22.1?
It's a .1, not a .1. I don't know what that was.
I don't think that's a meaningful difference.
Thank you, Patrick.
I think it is.
See, I have a little bit of a different
Doesn't sound right.
perspective when I know that a building is self-managed. I have a whole process for that, because I recognize that those people, anyone on a condo board is going to be a volunteer. Their level of expertise is probably going to be fairly low.
Fair.
And the best thing I can do to help my client in that situation is have a process to teach the person what I'm looking for from them.
Teach the seller.
Not the seller, the board member who I'm probably dealing with. Nice.
I do what I
Charlie
can.
just banged his knee on the desk.
It was the good knee, not the
but
bad knee.
providing them with forms that they can just fill out, just serving it to them in a very understandable, digestible way, I have found to be quite successful when it comes to dealing with self-managed associations. Now, there's pros and cons. So the self-managed association is going to be more difficult to understand the inner workings because of what Amber just described, which is they may not be following all of the formalities that they're required to. If you are a 3-unit building, you may decide you don't need to meet with your 2 neighbors who you see every day on a quarterly basis to figure out who's shoveling the snow. Larger associations are going to be probably more easier to deal with in terms of the process. They're probably going to send you to one of a couple of different websites that I won't name because it will make me upset. But I think that when it comes to that, sellers and their lawyers are loath to order those documents until they absolutely have to, because they're very expensive.
What's very expensive?
$300, $400, $500.
Yeah,
That is a
especially if
lot of
it's
money.
home-wise.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna name them.
Patrick doesn't like HomeWise.
Ooh.
No one likes
dropping
HomeWise.
names.
None of us do.
So
I'm indifferent.
So there's pros and cons.
I really like HomeWise.
He's talking about different HomeWise.
I am.
We're so the pros and cons are that you have a more robust set of documents and disclosures. They're going to be a lot more expensive for the seller to obtain, and it's a whole minefield, because if you need updates to any of that stuff, deal falls through. An inspection, you need to order an update. It's more money. And
Patrick, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
When you have this process and you're talking to your HOA contact, at what point during the process are they already in the midst of selling? Are they thinking about selling?
It would be after I have the contract. One of the things I'll do from the near the beginning is ask the client who should I be contacting with respect to the homeowner association, and they'll usually have someone to communicate with, and I'll send them an email with all of the forms that I'm looking for. I feel like if you make things, the easier you make things for people to do, the more likely they are to do them. And so if I can make that process, if I just send them an email that says, send me all the condo governing documents and disclosures, I'm gonna have a low probability of success there, because who even knows what that sentence, what I was even asking for, other than other lawyers and maybe a handful of real estate agents.
So right now, he just explained the difference between putting in an effort and, quite frankly, using Joey's words, being lazy. All right.
And then getting mad when somebody does. I don't know.
When
I don't
something
know what
goes
you're
bad.
asking me for, and you go, "Oh, this idiot," and then you're already set down a bad path. Instead,
And I've also seen it where, Joey, I need you to chime in a little bit, but when we do our Zoom calls with our clients, and then all of a sudden I'm getting a phone call that you know, the deal got kiboshed because certain paperwork wasn't provided or certain things weren't done to the mortgage, and then the mortgage did not get approved at the last minute for whatever things. I mean, it's you can do action where you just check boxes and get it off your plate and push it off on someone else, or you can actually set the expectations on what needs to be done and what's going to happen.
Yeah, and to clarify, when I'm talking to my clients, like I'm having these conversations now for 2025. You know, when I know they're in a small, I'm not talking about when we have the contract. I'm saying, okay, how often does the HOA meet? I know you're self-managed, and try to get a sense of how organized they are. And then preemptive, you know, we're in October, so if they're not looking to list until after the new year, that gives them a couple months to prepare. But like, talk to my lender to get a sense of what they need from a buyer's perspective from your HOA. Happy to connect, and some actually are like, yeah, please do. It's to prepare them, again, to Patrick's point. You want to alleviate any messy things from laziness, or just, you don't make assumptions. You know what they say, like, you just try to provide as much information.
What do they say?
Yeah.
Well, I can't say.
You assume
Google it.
me and you do things or something
It
like
makes
that?
it makes a buttocks out of you and me.
A buttocks.
I like that word.
That is good stuff. I like that.
I'm looking for Devin for approval,
Go
and
Keister.
we're getting a thumbs up.
Keister.
Yeah.
Keister, Fanny.
You got
All
a
right.
thumbs up on
All
both.
right.
So, but yeah,
like
I mean,
that.
it's just, again, it's things that they don't even think of. They're just thinking of selling the house and what's next. And going back to our original question, what makes deals fall apart? HOA docs, because they're, a lot of times those are the buildings that aren't prepared. And like, I have a lender who has a template for like what, like from a budget, if they don't have any kind of budget, can toss it over. So, you know, it's just having that conversation early on.
Yeah,
And you
same.
asked about. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's same. You know, having those documents at the ready. You know, not assuming that, you know, people. You know, you could take it from one perspective, which is that, you know, people should be doing what they're supposed to be doing. But you can also recognize that from a pragmatic standpoint, people are just trying to live their lives. And with a small self-managed association, they're going to do what is necessary and probably no more, which is fair enough. I can't say I would do differently.
Well, to go back to what Amber was saying and what you asked about how people are different, Charlie, or how you can tell one good realtor versus another,
Yeah.
We were
is
talking about
doing the extra work.
There it is.
Is finding out, hey, how do I make this easier on the lawyer? How do I make this easier with the transaction itself? Having that conversation when you start working with someone, or you're going to be working with them in the next year or 6 months or 3 or the year, whatever it is. Listen, I'm going to need these documents. What are these documents? Oh, these are the documents, but blah, 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 blah. And you tell them all those things. Then that's in their head. And then once you contact them again, because they're going to be a client in the next however long, you say, hey, were you able to get those documents? Were you able to get those ordered? Whatever. Because we're going to need them anyway to sell the home.
And those documents, you know, when you say we, you're talking about what the mortgage company needs, what the attorney's going to need, and so forth. But yet I hear all the time real estate brokers telling me that we shouldn't be knowing any of that stuff. We shouldn't know what the attorneys are going to do, or the mortgage people, or the home inspector are going to do. We need to stay in our lane, let them do their job, and we do our job. We don't want to get sued.
And how many deals fell apart for them?
Yeah,
That I don't know,
right?
because I don't do
I
business
mean-
Wow.
with them.
Well, that's the point, is that, yeah, those are the people that are, if they're not educating their clients, they're not educated in regards to what they're supposed to do as actually an agent. And more importantly, what'd you say? Yeah.
I just
I mean,
preach, brother, preach.
It's this is not difficult. It's the fact of like, this is your job. This is how you make it easier on your client. This is how you look good. This is how you get referred. This is how, you know, this is the best way of doing things. And that's the one thing that Amber and I think really relate in regards to understanding like how to be exceptional and not be the average.
And you have to be right now. I mean, you have to be more than
100%.
everything going forward with all the changes that have happened. And, you know, buyers need to understand, truly understand what you're going to do for them and how they're going to be, you know, cared for. White glove, truly, you're going to be their advocate from start to finish, and you're going to provide them as much information as possible. So,
I'm loving all that stuff. It's setting the expectations and knowing what your vendors are going to be doing, and preparing your clients for the vendors. You know, so like when we're dealing with Joey, it's going to be, I need all these documents. I am going to make sure these documents are here. We don't want these deals to get thrown off at the last minute. Am I off base, Joe?
Yeah, no, I won't work with people who aren't going to send me docs. That's just lazy. I'm not going to make the realtor look bad. I'm not going to make me look bad. If I pre-approve it, it's because I have everything I need to pre-approve it. It's because it's going to close. When we're dealing with HOAs, it's a little bit different just because, I mean, if they use HomeWise, yeah, we got the order HomeWise docs. And I have such a problem with this. So a lot of stupid project managers will write unknown in their questionnaires. Unknown is not an answer to a yes or no question. Do you have deferred maintenance issues? Yes or no. You can't say unknown because Fannie Mae is not going to securitize that loan anymore if you say unknown. So, sorry, this happened to me last week and I got in a fight with the project manager. So, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, they're not going to allow deferred maintenance anymore. You can thank Surfside. Obviously, that's a terrible tragedy that happened to Miami Surfside collapse. But that's essentially what we're dealing with. Is we have to make sure that projects aren't going to fall apart. A lot of people die if a building collapses, right? So, you got me on a high horse again that I wasn't expecting to get on just now.
Well, no, what you're bringing up is important because if it's a high rise, it's very different. Because they have to, the 22.1 is very different because it's wardable or non-wardable depending on the building. That makes a huge difference. And as an experienced realtor such as Amber and I, we know how that works, and we know what they're going to run into. So,
well, to your point, Joey, the whole storm that took place here, FEMA has a letter out. Now all the loans that got appraisal waivers were now being asked to take pictures of the building, making sure everything's sound. Did the storm affect the market in the neighborhood, which was something that I haven't experienced in recent years. So it was interesting because I had a few deals that had to go through that. So we had to go out, take pictures, and evaluate everything. So that was an interesting. But it just shows, to your point, that Fannie and Freddie are, really.
They're not playing.
No,
they don't play. Yeah.
Or should they? This is everybody's money that we're dealing with here.
It's also their safety.
Yeah.
Safety, money, lives, family, wealth, you name it. It's all wraps up into one thing. And it just dawned on me listening to you that I think I'm the only one here that really doesn't do much on setting expectations with potential clients. I think the three of you Patrick, mostly with sellers, I assume, right?
For what? What do you mean?
Setting expectations on how the deal's going to go through, what's going to happen, what are the steps. Is that you, or do you leave that off to the brokers?
No, I mean, I need all of my clients to know what I'm going to do for them, what I expect from them, and what they can reasonably expect. If I don't start there, how can I expect people to be on the same page as I am?
How do you get that to your client?
I have forms. I have form emails. I have an engagement letter.
How do you get them to read it?
I mean, that's up to them.
That's up to them.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, how do I make someone do anything?
You can't.
I don't have that ability, and so.
Do you know who you are? You're Patrick Loftus, for crying out
loud. The lawyer.
I am.
The
attorney.
And if I thought you were an attorney.
No, lawyer.
We're going to switch back and forth. I like attorney.
If it was possible to clone myself and I can send myself everywhere, and I could be everywhere at all times.
We've seen multiplicity; it doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, if it didn't work in the movies, then what chance do we have here? So at some point, people have their own autonomy, and they select their level of involvement as far as what I have to offer. But
sooner or later, we got to be accountable for our own actions.
Sure. And if I didn't make the effort, at least I can't really tell someone, well, did you read the email? Because that's fun.
That's not fun. That never goes over well, does it?
How much
when do we become annoying, though? Like if you're asking for those documents, is it the 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 10th?
So I safety valve everything because of the fact that I feel like some clients are going to be really appreciative of holding their hand the entire time.
Yeah. And
some clients are like, I got this, we're good type thing. But every single Tuesday, I always reach out to my current clients and say, hey, here's where we're at, what kind of questions you have, this, that, whatever. And then normally either Monday or Tuesday, I'll talk with the attorney as well, lawyer, to make sure that we're on the same page and if there's any issues or whatnot too. So I think it's preemption as well.
It's something that I hear a lot of people from your office say. It seems like every week or every weekday, maybe weekend too, do they have certain tasks that they have to do? You know, like I hear some of the agents from Qamar Group tell me that Wednesday is my farm day, I think it's called, you know, where I have to work my farm and make my calls and let everyone know I'm still alive.
I think different agents, so with the Qamar Group, there's different agents at different levels as far as how advanced or the experience they have or the business they have acquired.
Yeah.
And then you have ones that really focus on doing that. So on Wednesdays, they do a series of calls where they all go in, they compete against each other, and it's a very big camaraderie. That's a big thing about our team. So they do things that it's the day that they call from, 8:30 or 7:45 to 12 o'clock, and they're constantly calling people and really trying to bring value and seeing what they can do to help. But as far as the agent's concerned, as far as theme days is what you're speaking of,
Yeah.
there is. So I'm very different than perhaps the ones you'd mentioned. But that's also because I've went through coaching and teaching and things like that. So I know that theme days are extremely important. So that's why Tuesday is a touch base Tuesday aspect, which I learned from a lender. Or Monday is my VIPs. Wednesdays is my my clients on the fence or soon to be clients or people that mentioned they want to buy. So hot leads, if you will. Thursdays is going to be my past clients, so clients that have already bought, clients that have already rented, clients, things like that. And then Friday is obviously new business. So my theme days are very different. I don't know how yours are. Do you have anything in particular that you...
I don't have theme days.
Okay. But do you focus on certain things, certain days?
Yeah, I mean, certain days, but yeah, I mean, the reality is I'm also a mom, I'm also other things, so I'm not going to be like, I do this every day, every time, every moment. Like, it's just not realistic to me in my life.
Life doesn't let that happen.
Sure,
and I do
absolutely.
just fine. So, teach their own.
Yeah, of course.
It's it explains a lot. I mean, I always get aggravated every time I call you on a Monday and I go to voicemail, but I guess I'm not a VIP. So
What in
I get all that.
Oh.
And I'm
It's
sorry,
not, you're not
Amber,
part of the
you have
theme
been,
on Monday. You're
I'm not.
part.
So Amber, you have just become
How
my
often?
favorite
Hold
real
on.
estate broker.
No. Mm-mm.
You know,
I
No,
always
no, no.
answer my phone.
No,
just
you don't.
Not your phone calls,
Oh,
but everyone else.
sorry. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Charlie, when do you call me on Monday?
Now he's upset.
I did trigger him.
You triggered him.
I'm
That's
just
all good.
curious.
That was my intent.
Give
to
me
trigger
one day
him.
you
Was
called
it
me on a
Nice
Monday.
work.
This last Monday.
You did not call me on Monday.
I didn't
My
get a phone
story,
call
and I'm
from
sticking to it.
Oh, so
All
it's
right.
not true.
It's fully true.
Hey, you know
if
what,
I say
Charlie?
it's true, it's true.
Going back to our
Oh.
what kills deals, we haven't talked about the silent deal killer,
Who's the silent deal killer?
did we?
That's-
Agents.
Oh, now I'm curious. Give it to me.
Oh yeah, please.
I think, you know,
I'm still here, guys. I'm still here. I also do core stuff, Steven. All right.
I know you do, sir.
God, I love the sound effects, Joey. No, I think our job is to obviously keep the deal together if it makes sense, but also the list side and the buy side agents, we're trying to do the same thing. We're trying to advocate for our clients. And at some point, there's inspection, especially with as-is deals. I found this recently. I had an experience a couple months ago. The agent was super nice, great. He was like, oh, it's great working with you, blah, blah, blah. And we were taking it as is, and then we went through the house. There were dead mice. There was arachnophobia all up in the attic. I mean, I've never seen anything like it because there was a disconnect in the dryer. I mean, there were just things that we took it thinking that it was a normal house. These are things as a homeowner, why would you want to live in something like that? So I went to the agent, I said, hey, we took it as is thinking it was fine, but we've got Halloween night in the attic and like Mouse Town in the basement. Like, I think that we should get some credit. And he totally went sideways. He goes, yet again, another agent claiming to have as is. And he got real snappy. And I was like, sorry you feel that way. I'm just trying to do what's best for my client. And you should understand, if you were my client buying this house, you would feel the same way. And he paused. He's like, well. And it just left And so a lot of times when those get too heated, things go sideways. You know, the agent goes back to their attorney and they're like, they're being ridiculous, blah, 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 and the attorney ends up, the lawyer, however you prefer, you know, they make it much bigger than what it needs to, whereas we're trying to keep it level, making it make sense for both parties and keep it moving if it makes sense. But a lot of times, and luckily this deal did not fall through, he then apologized for acting that way, and I was like, cool, understand, but I think agents kill deals too.
No, and I have to jump on that too. I completely agree with that. And the fact is, either you handle it professionally or you don't. And too many agents get, I'm going to say, butthurt in the fact of like you having a difference of opinion. That's acceptable. I'm just saying in general, like you can't. What we do is all business.
It's not personal.
It's not personal. And the fact is that when they get upset or whatever, it's for whatever reason. It doesn't matter whether you're having a bad day or you're just that person or whatever. We have to do our fiduciary responsibility for our client. That is our job. And the fact is that this client got mad at you, the agent got mad at you or frustrated with you and so on. That's understandable just because they want to, maybe they're having a hard time selling the house, but that's not your problem. Your only concern, my only concern, is our client. So therefore, I think that you need to handle it respectfully, professional, and not cause a stink.
I just don't think there's any excuse to respond that way, regardless of what kind of day you had.
I agree
if
with that.
you didn't have your coffee in the morning, I just think you have to stay professional, because these are the colleagues that you're going to come back around and work with again.
Right. Well, if you're any good at what you do, you're going to do a lot of business, which you and I do. So therefore, it's one of those things where you need to be respectful. And when people aren't respectful to you, the next time that your client's going to go after that property, or they come in to give you a deal, you're going to present it just like you always would. But at the same time, if your clients ask you, what do you think of this? I'd be like, well, I explain all the details, oh, it's a great offer, great terms, great this, that, whatever. And they're like, well, what do you think of the agent? And we are not biased, but we're also like, what's going to get our client to the finish line, whether you're buying or selling? So it's really crucial for that.
I think it's important, not only in this context, but really in any context in your life, to take a step back when something is, when you have a reaction to something that is visceral. The first reaction isn't necessarily how you want to respond, when you get back to your normal adult mind. Now, in the context that Amber's describing, you take a step back and you think to yourself, if I was a buyer, how would I feel about a lot of spiders in my attic, a bunch of dead mice? Wouldn't feel good about it, right? So, that's one thing to take into consideration. But then, from there, I think you would then think to yourself, what's this going to cost? And pest control, generally speaking, I mean, from what you're describing, I don't want to quote any pest control companies' prices, but it's not that expensive.
Not at all.
No.
And to sort that problem out, from a seller's perspective, if I was advising a seller there, I'd say, look, I think you probably want to do this for yourself as much as for the buyer. If you didn't know there was a lot of spiders, I mean, maybe those spiders are up there and they're controlling all of the horrible mosquito problems that you have, which we should let them know that those are.
It's a good thing.
Those spiders are actually a plus, and we're gonna sell the house with the pest control spiders. Probably not the case though. Probably the spiders need to go live somewhere else. Go get a mask on and some gloves and a bucket and a shovel, and let's take the dead mice out of the basement and the crawl space. See if we can do that. Set a couple mouse traps. If it's a house in the country, you as a buyer, and now we're going to flip to the other side. You need to let your buyer know that field mice, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Because when it gets cold out, those mice are looking for someplace warm.
Well, and I think it was more the fact that the project in hand to rectify the attic thing was the big unknown.
You need a cat, is what you need.
No.
You need a cat.
Well,
Anyways.
It really is an easy fix. I mean, from what I understand, you send a dryer up into the attic. You're going to throw, I don't know how many gallons, a ridiculously large amount of gallons of water into that attic, because you're putting all the wet clothes and it's blowing all that humidity up in the air. If you start seeing a bunch of cobwebs and spider webs in an area, there's humidity there. They want a cold, humid place to live, all right? And that's one of the reasons when we had the vented crawl spaces, they were just loaded with the spider webs, and it's because the humidity levels are just too high there. So it's simple though. We take the dryer duct and send it through the roof and get it to the outside.
Right.
Problem solved.
Sure.
Move along.
When I moved into my house, we had the person did it half. He didn't do it the right way, and
Almost had you twice on that one. Half baked.
so he didn't do it the right way, and so when we got in there, I said, hey, you got to do this during the inspection or after the inspection, whatever, when we're buying the house. There were a lot of things about the house that I liked, so I was like, fine. When I got there and it wasn't done right, literally he just put a nail up, put the vent up to where the
You
actual.
see that a lot.
Yeah, it was ridiculous, and I'm like,
Yeah.
are you serious? But it's like, well, pick your battles too, right? So I always tell buyers, nothing is perfect unless you're building it from ground up, and you still may have problems.
And those aren't even perfect.
Right, exactly. So it's all about creating proper expectations, making sure they understand. I have a thing that if they're looking at houses and they're between a 5 to a 7, that probably is not your house or anything below. But if it's between an 8 and a 10, that might be something where it might be a good option for you based on your search criteria.
Interesting. And I went to real estate school. I don't know if I ever told you guys this, real estate broker school.
Mm-mm.
And I never took the state exam to go ahead and get my license. But that entire class was strictly, well, I should say mostly about law. There was a very short thing on ethics. I think there was only one sentence on home inspection. They did have a lot of stuff on mortgages, but it was mostly on laws and filling out agreements and contracts and stuff that comes in there. And yes, we only have 1 minute. Patrick?
That's because usually the people teaching those classes are lawyers. They teach you what they know about.
Fair enough. And I think it was in the actual program guide. But and this is where I kind of really wish that real estate brokers would learn the home inspection business. If somebody can give you those classes, take the time and learn what we're going to be looking for. If they can learn the mortgage person, what's to be expected. The more you know, the more you're worth, and the more value you're going to give to your client. But with everything else, we are running out of time. We only have 1 minute left. I got to go through the horn real quick. Amber, can you give us your contact information, please?
Yes, because I failed to do that at the beginning. Amber Kardosh at Properties Christie's International. Instagrams, Amber Kardosh Real Estate. And you can reach me at akardosh@properties.com.
Sounds good. Steve, please.
Sure, Steve Davis, Real Brokerage, Qamar Group. You can reach me on Instagram at I'm Steve Davis, and my number is 312-513-6314.
Sounds good. Patrick, please.
My name is Patrick Loftus. I'm a real estate lawyer. Probably the most serious real estate lawyer in Chicago. Top 3, at least. Find me for serious takes on Instagram, Loftus_law.
I don't know how you're keeping it straight.
I don't either.
On TikTok,
never serious.
Loftus Law.
Joey, please.
Why, hello, Joey Mathews, 630-235-2405. You can find me at theVALoanNerd.com or across all the social medias as at @theVALoanNerd.
He does have the most romantic verse.
Let's go!
I mean,
Devin Tingle's our producer. He makes all the things
Thank you,
work.
Devin.
And for that, I say thank you. My name is Charlie. Thank you for listening.